right, good morning, Bio 20. Okay, here are your notes on muscles and it goes along with assignment 9.4. And so, first off, there's different types of muscles. There's cardiac muscles. Okay, cardiac meaning like heart. And so, those are the muscles found in the heart, makes the heart beat. They're controlled by nerves and involuntary control. You don't have to worry about um, making your heart beat. It's not something that you're aware of. It's going to happen automatically or involuntarily. Okay, these are some pictures of what your heart muscles look like under a microscope, and we'll compare them to other muscles and what they look like. Okay, there's smooth muscles. These are the muscles found in the lining of organs, such as your esophagus, your stomach, uterus for women. Okay, again, involuntary control. So this would be the muscles that control peristalsis in the esophagus and so on. Again, if you look at the muscles and what they look like under a microscope, okay, these would be the nucleus, okay, different blood vessels going through them, and fairly smooth when you look at them. Okay, and then the last of the types of muscles is the skeletal muscles. These are the ones that when we think of muscles, these are the muscles we think of. Okay, they're attached to the bone of the skeleton through tendons. Okay, these are undergo voluntary control. You have to think about, okay, I want to move my arm or I want to move my leg. Okay, and they always work in antagonistic pairs, okay, which means like you have muscles that work against each other. So on your arm, you have the bicep on the front of your arm, the tricep on the back of your arm. So one, when you flex it, will bring your hand up. The other, when you flex it, will kind of bring your hand down, and they're moving at the elbow. And so, yes, with skeletal muscles, the muscles shorten when they contract and lengthen when they relax. Our flexor muscles must contract to bend a joint, and extenders must contract to straighten a joint. So again, going back to the um, bicep and tricep, so the flexor muscle would be our bicep. When we contract our bicep, we bend at the elbow joint, and then when we flex at the our tricep or extender, it straightens out at our elbow. Skeletal muscles are made up of several bundles that we call fibers. There are many nuclei found in each muscle cell, and then the fibers are enclosed into a membrane called a sarcolemma. These muscle fibers contain many smaller myofilaments that are bundled together. Two important types of myofilaments are actin, which are the thin filaments, and myosin, which are thick filaments. These filaments overlap to give the muscle a striated or striped appearance. Again, these are important on how we actually use our muscles. Okay, so the reason muscles have light and dark bands is because of these myofilaments and the way that they overlap. The Z line anchors the actin fibers, and the area between two Z lines is called our sarcomere. The thick myosin filaments form an A band, thinner actin filaments form an I band. And we'll go over kind of what that means. So you can see the striping, okay, of our muscles. Okay, these would be our nucleus and so on, but like we'll talk about those as we go. And so this is a skeletal muscle fiber. As we break it into our myofibrils, okay, which are smaller. Okay, this second picture is one myofiber or fibril. Okay, and then we have our sarcomere, okay, is between our two Z lines, and then our Z lines are kind of where that striping happens. And so we have the I band, A band. And if we look even closer at it, these are two myofilaments. Okay, the myosin filament, okay, is this red part here, and then the actin kind of goes around it. And so when we flex our muscles, we have basically actin grabs a hold and, the myosin grabs a hold of the actin and pulls it closer together, flexing that muscle. And so we'll talk about that as we go. Okay, so the sliding filament theory, muscles cause movements by shortening. So the actin filaments slide over the myosin filaments. Okay, a knob-like structure on the myosin filament forms a cross bridge to the thinner actin filament. So if we kind of look back here, so here is our myosin filament. Okay, whoops. Okay, this would be the little structure that grabs a hold of the actin and pulls the actin together, okay, making our H zone smaller. Okay, so that would be the knob-like structure pulls it together. Okay, these cross bridges attach and detach as the actin moves inwards. Okay, for this to happen, energy is required. Again, all energy from all of our cells, it comes in the form of ATP. So muscle contraction is started from a motor neuron. Calcium is then released and binds to the actin. This binding of calcium helps break apart the ATP that is then used by our myosin. And so again, kind of showing what's happening. So we have our myosin, a little knob-like structure coming out from it, our actin, which attaches to our Z line. So as the knob-like structure attaches to our actin, it pulls the Z line closer, and then to relax the muscle, it just releases and the muscle will relax. Okay, so rigor mortis, so after death, this is when a person dies. Okay, they are no longer creating ATP. Okay, this causes the muscles in the body to contract, okay, which is why dead bodies tend to be stuck in the position of their death for a couple days until that relaxes. Another thing is with muscle fatigue, muscles start to get tired. Fatigue can be caused by lack of energy or buildup of waste products, which we've already talked about. And that would be the buildup of our lactic acid. A little ATP can be stored in muscle tissue, but the energy demand is accomplished by using aerobic respiration. And so we need that oxygen getting to all of our muscles so we can create ATP. Okay, as long as oxygen is supplied and cellular respiration can then meet the demands, the filaments will be drawn together normally. Okay, when the threshold has been met, okay, the lactic acid starts to build up, and that's where we feel that sore muscles. So on. The contraction happens when a nerve impulse stimulates several muscle cells. During the contraction, the actin and myosin filaments slide over one another. Okay, actually, the myosin grabs onto the actin, as we talked about before, causing the muscles to shorten. After contraction, the actin and myosin filaments move away from each other, causing it to lengthen or relax and go back to its normal size. There's twitching of muscles, so when relaxation is not quite finished and the contraction occurs, a greater muscle shortening occurs, causing a twitch. And then tinnitus is repeated muscle stimulation. It prevents from any relaxation, and so then your muscles get tight and sore. Okay, fast versus slow twitch muscle fibers. So we have three forms of myosin. Type 1 is a slower twitch, which is found more so in distance runners. Type 2A and 2X are faster twitch, and so you'd find these more in sprinters. So that's why, like, depending on your body type, that will determine some of your what types of fibers you have. And so, yeah, if you have a lot more type 1, slower twitch, you can run for longer distances. Where the faster twitch, like, you can go faster, but for a shorter time. And then motor system injuries. So regular exercise is needed to maintain muscles. Okay, torn muscles, torn ligaments, joint sprains, all joint dislocations, all have to do with our motor system and when we injure it. All right. I'm going to post this video separate, okay, and we can watch that. Okay, make sure, look over pages 304, numbers 1 to 7. I'm not going to assign them but just make sure you kind of look through and see what the questions look like. You will be getting a quiz. It'll be on Google Classroom. I'm not sure how to set it up fully yet, but once I do that, it'll be up there. Okay, and then we'll go from there. So make sure you're done assignment 9.4 today, and then look for that quiz in the next day or two.